The Bengals are going to win Super Bowl 60 at Santa Clara. It is the state of Ohio that's going to win their next championship in close to 62 years after 1964, in December of 1964. 62 years later, it is Ohio that's going to win their next football championship. Cleveland ended a 52-year title drought against the Golden State Warriors at the Bay Area. Ohio's drought in football is also going to end at the Bay Area. Cleveland, Ohio is where the Browns scored 27 points, 27-0 win over the Colts. This was the state of Ohio's last football championship in the year 64. The 49ers are hosting Super Bowl 60. The last time San Francisco hosted the Super Bowl, it was the Denver Broncos that won. 49ers is 64, Denver Broncos is 64. "62 years later, the state of Ohio is going to win their next football championship. Joe Burrow, he lost to Matthew Stafford, but he does win Ohio their next championship 62 years later. Joseph Burrow is Gematria 62. Cleveland, Ohio, the site of the 1964 championship game is Gematria 62. The site at Santa Clara. Santa Clara is 27 in Gematria. Cincy is 27. One of the heartbreaking Super Bowl losses for the Cincinnati Bengals, not this one, but their most heartbreaking Super Bowl loss outside of Super Bowl 56 came during the 1988 NFL season. John Taylor scored a 10-yard touchdown to score with about 34 seconds left. John Taylor has a 10-yard touchdown. San Francisco is hosting their next Super Bowl 10 years later. Number 10 was the MVP in the Super Bowl 56 in the Bengals' last Super Bowl. So that's what about to go down in Super Bowl 60. So this here was Super Bowl 23. 37 years later, the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 60 from the time of their heartbreaking loss to the 49ers. The second one in 2026, in the 26th Super Bowl, that was just a blowout. What can you say about that one? Anyway, from a Super Bowl 16 and Super Bowl 23, those were the Super Bowls. So Super Bowl 16, the Niners blew out the Bengals from the start. 44 years after the Bengals' first Super Bowl, they will become champions. Champions is Gematria 44. 4 Super Bowl appearances, 1 victory. Super Bowl is Gematria 41. The Bengals are about to be 1-3 in the Super Bowl. In the year of Super Bowl 60, it is LA, that's Gematria 13. And speaking of 13, it is Levi Stadium that was a construction cost of $1.3 billion. 37 years after Super Bowl 23, the Bengals are going to win Super Bowl 60. Los Angeles is Gematria 37. Think about it, 59 prior Super Bowls. Now let's see something. Bengals is Gematria 60. The Bengals are going to win Super Bowl 60. Joe Montana's last title was in Super Bowl 24. This is the Super Bowl at Joe Cool at the home of the 49ers. That's what Joe Burrow is going to do. 36 years after Joe Montana's last Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 24 is when the Bengals win Super Bowl 60. Jamar Chase is going to win with this LSU teammate. Chase is Gematria 36. Joe Montana is Gematria 36. 36 years after Montana's last ring, it is the Bengals that will win. But when you go to Joe Burrow in his career statistics, in college, he started 28 games with LSU. It is the Super Bowl that's going to be played on 2-8, February the 8th, on the 39th day of 2026. Because the Bengals has Gematria 39. They're going to be playing on the 39th day of the year, on 2-8, February the 8th. Joseph Burrow would win that Super Bowl. Joseph is Gematria 28. John Taylor, who had the winning touchdown. Taylor is Jamachi 28. Also, the Bengals coach name is Zach Taylor. Taylor can win the Super Bowl on February the 8th at the home of the 49ers. 49ers is 28. Joe Burrow can certainly win back at the home of the 49ers. But Joe Burrow had 60 total touchdown passes in his last year at LSU. He's going to be winning Super Bowl 60. The amount of time from this is over 61 years, so the 62nd year since the last title, that's when the state of Ohio is going to win their next title. Just over 72 months later, 73 months after Joe Burrow won the title with LSU, is when he's going to win the Super Bowl. It is Joseph, that's Jamachi 73. Carolina played in the last Super Bowl at the Bay Area. Carolina 73. Peyton Williams Manning was the winning quarterback in Super Bowl 50. Peyton Williams Manning is Jamachi 73. But 73 months after winning the national title, Joseph is going to win the title on February the 8th at the stadium of the 49ers. The heartbreaking loss in Super Bowl 23 occurred over at Miami. It's also Miami that has Jamachi Santa Clara, Jamachi 27. So that's a good thing to know with that. The Super Bowl at the Bay Area. Bay Area is Jamachi 53 and 26, the year 26. The Bay Area is Jamachi of Broncos, for example, who played in the last Super Bowl at the Bay Area. The Bengals' first appearance in the Super Bowl 16 over at the Pontiac Silverdome at Pontiac, Michigan. It is Michigan that has gematria also of Levi Stadium, having gematria 46. In Pontiac, Michigan, in abbreviations, is also gematria 46. So, Bengals first Super Bowl at Pontiac, Michigan. They lost a heartbreaker at Inglewood. Inglewood is gematria 50. That'd be the Bengals' last appearance. San Francisco is hosting it for the first time since Super Bowl 50. Joe is gematria 12. This will be the 12th year that the 49ers are at Santa Clara, just 40 miles or so outside of San Francisco. Joe Burrow is gematria of Levi Stadium. Joe Burrow 46, Levi Stadium 46, Pontiac, Michigan. The Bengals' first Super Bowl is gematria 46. Good stuff. Joe Burrow is a match to win at Levi Stadium. 44 years after their first appearance in Super Bowl 16, then Super Bowl 23, what we get from that heartbreaking loss to the 49ers is 37 years later, they're going to win the Super Bowl. They didn't win at Los Angeles, but they were going to win 37 years later at Santa Clara, California. They lost at SoFi. SoFi is 49 and 22. The Rams ended a 22-year championship drought. Instead, the Bengals win at Levi's. Levi's is gematria 22. So again, Santa Clara having gematria 27. And the Bengals heartbreaking Super Bowl 23 loss at Miami. 27-0. The score was when Ohio won their last championship in the NFL. 1964 is 20 is 2, 9 and 2, that's 11. 1, 2, 3 is 14. One Super Bowl title in their fourth appearance when Ohio does win the championship. Gary Collins was drafted in the year 62, the winning player of the Super Bowl. Number 82, Gary Collins, the 8th day of the second month when we could see Ohio win their next championship in the NFL. Just over 61 years later, we go off the year, but then it doesn't make a difference. Cleveland Browns, Gematria 61, just over 61 years later, that's when they're gonna win the next championship, the state of Ohio. But 27, it was even 27 to 24 when the Bengals won their conference title, January 30th of 2022. The amount of time from that day to Super Bowl 60 is exactly 4 years in 9 days to the 49ers hosting the Super Bowl and the Bengals winning after losing at SoFi. SoFi, Gematria 49, but they do win 4 years in 9 days, or 4 years in 9 days after losing to, after beating the Chiefs. They win 4 years and 9 days later. Zach Taylor, his first year as coach, he went 2-7-1 his first year. Again, Santa Clara, Gematria 27. 2 wins in 8 games. 49ers, Gematria of 28. Who Dey? Day is Gematria 35, 35 full seasons in between Super Bowl 23 and Super Bowl 60. That's something to look out for. 142 weeks after Jim Brown's death to February the 8th, the day of the Super Bowl. Just over 32 months later, 2 years and 8 days. Joseph is 28, 49ers 28. 2 years and 8 days from Jim Brown's death, the last guy to deliver a championship to the state of Ohio to the next championship would be 33 months after his death. Cleveland is Gematria 33. It's also Niner, that's Gematria 33, and 60, hosting Super Bowl 60. Niner is 60. Bengal is Gematria 60. Niners itself is Gematria of Burrow. The national title game, January the 13th, it was won against Clemson. Clemson is also Gematria 27. Santa Clara, Joe Burrow's next title over at Santa Clara since beating Clemson over at drafted by the Bengals, played for the Tigers, beat the Tigers. Tigers is also Gematria 33 months after Jim Brown's death. Ohio is going to end their championship drought. Just over 72 months, they win the championship. Joe Burrow wins the championship again. Manning won Super Bowl 50. Manning is Gematria 72. Well, let's see. Well, this heartbreaking game, 2016, 36 points. Bengals win 36 years after Joe Montana's last ring in Super Bowl 24. 22 stays by itself. 22-1 is 23. 1989 is 27. That's 9. So this was a 32-day numerology. What followed that Super Bowl loss was not win a playoff game in 32 years. And the amount of time from Super Bowl 23 to Super Bowl 56, that'd be 32 full seasons without a playoff win. And then, of course, the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl again over at Inglewood, over at the SoFi Stadium against the Rams. SoFi Stadium is also Gematria 46. SoFi Stadium, Joseph Burrow, Levi's, because SoFi and Levi's, and then Joe Burrow's name, they all have same gematria. So again, Levi's Stadium, Pontiac, Michigan, Joe Burrow 46, and then SoFi too. SoFi and Levi's have the same gematria. So Joe Burrow's first playoff game, January the 15th of 2022, to his Super Bowl championship. Beat the Raiders. He's going to win the Super Bowl, of course, 49 months after beating the Raiders, the 49th month, since his playoff debut at the stadium of the 49ers. It's a California, that's too much, of 88 and 52. Cleveland won their next championship in 52 years. Now the state of Ohio is going to win their next football championship just over 61 years later, 62 years later. Located approximately 64 kilometers south of San Francisco, Ohio's last football championship in 1964. Zach Taylor became coach too at some point in time. It was 2019, if I have that right, Zach Taylor. The amount of time that Zach Taylor was hired as a coach to February the 8th of 2026. Just over 84 months later, he came over from the Rams as offensive coordinator. Let's see if I have the right day, the exact day for Zach Taylor being hired. Yeah, so that is February the 4th, right? Montana's last title in Super Bowl 24. The amount of time from the day he became coach to the day of Super Bowl 60 is going to be just over 84 months later. He did lose the Super Bowl to the Rams. He did coach the Rams too. The Rams is Jumanji of 84. In 7 years, 4 days later, a championship awaits the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. The 85th month since then, Joe Burrow was taken in the 85th edition of the NFL Draft. Won the Bengals' first playoff game in 32 years. Let's see how many games. That's 32. That's 49. His 53rd game of his career as coach of the Rams, or as coach of the Bengals. He was coaching the Super Bowl against the Rams. His next Super Bowl would be at the Bay Area. Bay Area is 53. His 53rd game as coach came against the LA Rams in the Super Bowl 56. And that's something to keep an eye out for. 60 in Roman numerals is Gematria 12. Same Gematria as Joe. Joe does have Gematria 12. Joe Cool is Gematria 30 as well. 6'4". Joe Burrow is 6'4". He delivered their first championship since 1964. Jim Brown did lead Cleveland to that championship. Brown is gematria 27. Same gematria Santa Clara. Same gematria Cincy. The Bengals make the playoffs for Super Bowl 58 and Super Bowl 59. They can win the Super Bowl in their 19th appearance. LA Rams is gematria 19. Their last Super Bowl appearance against the LA Rams. LA Rams is also gematria of Ohio's last championship in the year 64. And 49ers and Broncos obviously having gematria 64. As you saw right below in the calculator earlier when we were doing the video. LA Rams is 19. They ended the curse of Bo Jackson. And the Super Bowl awaits the Bengals in their 19th playoff appearance. April 23rd, Joe Burrow was drafted in 2020. Well, just over 69 months later, he would win his next championship since over at Atlanta in that national championship game as a member of the LSU Tigers. See anything more on the Jim Brown? He had 106 touchdowns. Jim Brown. We can see the title drought for Ohio in football and in the 106th edition of the NFL season. Prophecy 106 and go keep on winning Cleveland their next championship in 52 years over at Akron, Ohio. At the Bay Area, we could see the football streak end at the Bay Area as well. And Joe Burrow, he won his title on the 13th day with LSU. He's going to allow the Bengals to be 1-3 in the Super Bowl. It was the Cavs' 73rd win of that season in the 73rd month since he won the national title. Joseph can win the Super Bowl. The amount of time from Joe Burrow's birthday on December the 10th, the amount of time from his birthday to the Super Bowl is a time span of 60 days as well. The 8 weeks and 4 days, gematria of the Rams, his last Super Bowl appearance. A title drought is going to end for the whole state of Ohio. Their first title since being the Baltimore Colts. Colts is gematria 69, just over 69 months after winning the national title. Ohio can win their next title. Baltimore Colts gematria 56, and the Bengals' first appearance in Super Bowl 56. They can end Ohio's championship drought. The Colts has gematria 30, same gematria as Joe. The city of Santa Clara does have gematria of Super Bowl 60 as well, and gematria Bengals. The city of Santa Clara, California does have gematria of 1964, and then of course 49ers having gematria 64. The Super Bowl host. Montana by itself is Gematria 78 and 24. Montana would be winning Ohio's first championship since Cleveland, obviously. His first title since being Clemson. His first national title, Tigers, Gematria 78. Because remember, Clemson 27, Santa Clara 27, Cincy 27. You gotta keep the 27s in your mind. You have to keep it. It matters a lot. 27-0 for Ohio's last championship. It means a lot. The Bengals' 19th playoff appearance. Number 1, Cam Newton. Peyton Manning, number 18. Their numbers add up to 19. The last matchup over at the Bay Area. Last matchup over at SoFi. A 24-10 win by the Denver Broncos. It's Bengals. That's Gematria 24. Zach Taylor's first win as coach against the New York Jets. New York Jets, Gematria 49-13, win the Super Bowl at the 49ers Stadium, 1-3 in the Super Bowl, the Bengals. And you know, Jim Brown in the 1964 NFL Championship game, he had a long of 46 yards. Joseph Burrow 46, Levi Stadium 46. 27 attempts. 27. Gematria Brown. Gematria Santa Clara. Gematria Cincy. Cleveland ending a title drought. So the state of Ohio is ending their title drought 62 years later. From 1964 to 2026, technically just over 61 years, which is fine. If it's over 61 years, it's fine. Los Angeles, or rather, it's no, it's not Los Angeles Rams. That's Gematria 61. I thought it did. Well, the Cleveland Browns is Gematria 61. Just keep that in mind. Cincinnati Bengals is 75. The city of Santa Clara is also Gematria 75 and 201. Let's see something. LSU football. LSU is 52. California 52. LSU Tigers. LSU football. LSU Tigers is 40 miles outside of San Francisco. LSU football is Gematria 36. Again, 36 years after Joe Montana's last ring. It is the Bengals that are going to win the Super Bowl. There are 36 combined points in Super Bowl 23. It's John Taylor. Number 82. 8th day of the second month, 82. Born in year 62. He's even 6'1" too, just over 61 years, 62 years later. The Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. 7 weeks and 3 days, and they included Joseph 73, the Curse of Bo Jackson, Jackson 73. What about Bo Jackson? Bo Jackson is Camacho 27. After the Curse of Bo Jackson, the Bengals win at Santa Clara in their 19th playoff appearance all time. Yeah, Cincy written all over it. He had 19 wins in the playoffs with the Bengals in total before he lost that Super Bowl. Keep that in mind, too. His 33rd loss in that Super Bowl. Jamar Chase was drafted a year later. He was not taken until 2021. But, the amount of time from his playing debut to the Super Bowl is also going to kind of explain what's going to happen as far as the script goes. The amount of time from his playing debut to the Super Bowl, it would fall on the 53rd month. Again, Bay Area's Camacho 53. Bay Area's 53. Also, the Panthers were in the last Super Bowl at the Bay Area. The Panthers 53. Carolina is Camacho of 73, 37. They're in the last Super Bowl. Broncos. It was Peyton Manning's 27th playoff game too. It was his 14th win. He was 14-13 after he won that Super Bowl against Cam Newton. It was his 27th playoff game too. Cam Newton, Camacho 36. Joe Montana, 36 years after Joe Montana's last ring. We'll see Joe Burrow win. Joe Cool over at the stadium of the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, number 10. They're hosting it 10 years later. Garoppolo lost their last Super Bowl. But 2026 is 10 is 1. February the 8th and 1, that's 11. 11 day, like Joe Burrow being 11 life path numerology. I think he's 11 life path numerology. He is 11 life path numerology. 11 years after Super Bowl 49 at the 49ers Stadium, he's going to win this Super Bowl championship. He will. Two and 7 won his first year. Miami 27. The heartbreaking Super Bowl 23 loss. Santa Clara 27. Cincy 27. Santa Clara 27. With 13 touchdowns his first year in scripted fashion. He had 15 wins as a quarterback before he lost the Super Bowl. Rams is Camacho 15. Had 19 sacks in that postseason too. Joe Burrow's first win as a starter. Defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars for his first career win So the Jaguars and the uh, and the Bengals. 1-3 the Jaguars. This was October 4th in 2020. So let's see, October the 4th in 2020 to the day that yeah, he is supposed to win the championship. Over 5 years, 4 months later, over 64 months later, 49ers 64, Denver Broncos last winter 64. Five years, 4 months again. That's Cincy. That's Jamacha Inglewood, California. His last appearance in a Super Bowl. Hey, that shall do it for now. And see 1964. Gary Collins was the MVP. Number 82. And then Super Bowl 6. This was complete heartbreak. San Francisco 122, Joe Burrow's first title against Kansas City, his first trophy, the Lamar Hunt Trophy, win the Super Bowl 4 years, 9 months later. Kansas City Chiefs is also gematria of this Super Bowl at the 49ers Stadium, 49ers 64. San Francisco, California, same gematria as Inglewood in initials. San Francisco, California is gematria of the last football championship for the state of Ohio, against the Colts.